The views expressed on this program do not belong to LSU, the Manship School, Tiger TV, Mike the Tiger, or any other being. They are the absurd creation of writer and host Travis Cobb, so sue him, lawyers. Howdy, and welcome to the update.
Hi there, folks, and welcome to the update. I'm Travis Cobb. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm sorry your remote is broken. I'm just coming off an epic week-long sore throat, so you'll have to forgive me if I sound a little sick. These prescriptions are something else, though. The words on this prompter are just little rigatoni noodles. Okay, getting back to reality. Have you heard about how there might be a government shutdown? Funny story, actually. There's two parties in Washington that represent our individual political interests. I'm sorry. I said we're getting back to reality. That one's on me, guys. Yes, it appears Democrats and Republicans are once again procrastinating on paying our bills so that we can, function as a country. What's the reason for such partisan bickering this time?
Sadly, a handful of our colleagues in the Democratic Party, who come from states, quite frankly, where people do not support Obamacare, decided that party loyalty was more important than loyalty to the American middle class.
Obamacare has been the law for 4 years. Why don't they get a life and talk about something else?
I do not intend to vote for any continuing resolution that funds Obamacare. I think Obamacare is a train wreck.
The House Republicans are so concerned with appeasing the Tea Party that they've threatened a government shutdown or worse unless I gut or repeal the Affordable Care Act.
Seems to me what's really sick is our discourse, because debates like this are just unhealthy for our country. The Republican-led House passed a bill last week that funds our government, while also defunding Obamacare. They puffed their chest and proudly sent it to the Senate. The Democratic-led Senate read the bill, laughed, passed a bill that funded both Obamacare and the government. And the House rebutted with the same proposal that they sent last week, with one change. Instead of completely defunding Obamacare, the new funding would just delay it a year. Compromise? Look, I'm not saying that our elected leaders are being completely inefficient and worthless by repeating the same debates we've had since the law was implemented. But, well, actually, Nancy Pelosi explains it well.
Most people, don't you, in your work and all the rest, something happens, you make your attempt, it doesn't work, and how long do you just bang your head against the wall at the expense of our country?
Now, she was talking about Republicans and their attempts to repeal, defund, spay, and or neuter the health care law. To me, it also applies to this whole process. How many times do we have to watch our two parties swing and miss at the big problems we have? How many times do those swings have to hit us, the people, and we act like it's the other party's fault? All I know is I'm with Pelosi on this one. If the House and Senate don't get a bill out and fund our government, I'm doing this. During the break, I'm going to have some ibuprofen because after the break, I'm continuing to subject myself to the mental terror of analyzing our political system. But why would I do that? Don't go anywhere. Missing the Mark is next.
Where, oh, where has the Senate gone? Where, oh, where can they be? With time so short and issues so long, where, oh, where has the Senate gone?
Thank you, Representative Ted Poe of Texas, and more specifically before redistricting, my hometown Beaumont area. Some beautiful poetry. Your new name should be Ted Poetry. Mwah. Welcome back to the update. This week's Missing the Mark is staying right where you'd guess it would, Washington. Barring a miracle, or what's known in everyday life as a compromise, the House and Senate will not pass a bill funding the federal government over their squabble over funding the health care law, a law that's been passed, approved by the Supreme Court, and is all but in effect. Instead of looking at the squabble for what it is, childishness, we built this up into a showdown of principles. But really, it's a breakdown of partisanship.
I realize that a lot of what's taking place right now is political grandstanding, but this grandstanding has real effects on real people.
Exactly. If we're going to affect real people, as opposed to the fake ones, maybe we need to hear from one of these people, someone from outside the government.
My own view, and I've expressed this before, is that the tactic of using a government shutdown to try and push that will be counterproductive politically, that it's going to end up hurting our party, and it could well inconvenience and hurt some individuals as well if checks are late and so forth.
That guy who looks really familiar for some reason is right, Mitt Romney. If anyone knows how hard it is to take on this Democratic president, it's Mitt Romney. Election slam. He's got a huge point, though. The bill is law. It's taking effect. The spectacle taking place over funding our federal government, a possible shutdown. It's insulting to our intelligence. We're better than this as people. We can talk to each other even if we have political differences, especially when the stakes are high.
Past shutdowns have disrupted the economy, and this shutdown would as well.
I read that and get worried and want to go to Washington and do the job myself. I'm not alone. A CNN poll released today says just 10% of Americans approve of the job Congress is doing, and that's an all-time low. So why can't our congressmen and women pick up their own slack? The circus surrounding their childishness only serves to bolster the stubborn. Focusing on the politicians and their way of dealing with political partisan party problems instead of the problems they're supposed to be debating isn't solving anything. It's missing the mark. Coming up after the break, I switch to some better news that's going on in Iran. Crazy world. Stay with us.
I'm like a lot of other people that you'll negotiate with the leader of Iran, but you won't even sit down with Republicans in the House and the Senate and try to find a reasonable middle ground on this.
Welcome back to the update. Rick Perry has hit it right on the head with that quote, folks. Not necessarily the content of what he's saying, but the fact that he's equating Iran and a possible government shutdown helps my show flow. So thanks, Governor. That was weird, but hey, the government isn't just about fighting amongst itself. No, for a really long time, we've been about frostiness with other countries too. But that might all change with one of our longtime enemies, even though they're a part of President Bush's axis of evil.
Just now, I spoke on the phone with President Rouhani of the Islamic Republic of Iran.
Wait, when did you get in office? Why are you speaking to our enemies? We need to sanction without listening to new leadership. In the end, Iran is Iran. They'll just hurt us again. You know we aren't on speaking terms. They still have that nuclear program we despise so much. Explain yourself, mystery man.
The two of us discussed our ongoing efforts to reach an agreement over Iran's nuclear program.
Okay, I'm being told that's President Obama and that he's well into his second term as we speak. Okay, sorry about that one. But okay, the two countries are talking. It's a big deal because we've been like so totally over them these past years. I mean, Ahmadinejad, total loser. So let's hear what the new big boss has to say. President Rouhani?
There will be a settlement on the nuclear file, on the nuclear issue. I believe personally that in a not too distant future, we'll be able to resolve and settle the nuclear issue step by step, and to pave the way for Iran's better relations with the West, including the expansion of economic ties, the expansion of cultural ties, and specifically the expansion of such relations between the Western nations and Iran.
This is just music to my ears. Both sides are dedicated to getting something done about this nuclear program. The years of drone strikes and bombing other countries in the Middle East are finally over. No, wait, we did that. Silly me. This movement toward a less hostile Iran won't be without a couple of hurdles, though.
While there will surely be important obstacles to moving forward, and success is by no means guaranteed, I believe we can reach a comprehensive solution.
But we're trying, and that's what counts. A for effort, right? A lot has changed in our foreign diplomacy dealings. We're more focused on Syria and trying to get Russia to be nicer to us at UN meetings. It's promising to the process to hear things like this from Iran, especially after the rhetoric Ahmadinejad would spew about his non-belief in the Holocaust, and of course his defense of Iran's nuclear program, or as he referred to it, the process. This guy seems to be a breath of fresh air.
Any use of nuclear weapons is a violation of the UN Charter and a crime against humanity. Doctrines justifying such use are unacceptable. Likewise, threatening non-nuclear weapon states with nuclear weapons should end.
We can do this, guys. We're so close to turning an enemy into, well, maybe not a friend, but definitely something easier to deal with than Congress. Thanks for joining us this week. If you want more of the update, follow us on Twitter at @TTV_update, unless we're canceled by the shutdown. I'll see you next week.